This is the second half to a much longer reaction. If you haven't seen that yet, links to it are in the description as well as the top right corner of the video. If you want to see the full uncut version of this reaction, you can find the link to that on my Patreon. Now with that out of the way, let's continue with this then, shall we?
However, there was an even bigger smoking gun here, and it came in the form of a 1.5-minute long video where Nathan is not Nathan at all, he's psychic Ronald Shube.
My first book, Me Psychic, You Psychic, talked about how we all have psychic powers and how to stay connected with yourself and with the spirit world. Spirits communicate with me, and my body is just a vessel.
Yeah, this actually exists. Wonderful.
So I invite everyone to come inside me.
So,
yeah, I'm not doing a reaction to this stuff.
this is Nathan playing a fictional character for comedy with a self-awareness that's completely incompatible with the Nathan portrayed in Nathan For You. And honestly, I started to feel really foolish at this point. I felt dumb for getting drawn into the illusion like I had and started to question everything. Like, even those photos of Nathan as a teenager, were these real photos or were they also part of the illusion? Could they have been faked? I mean, Nathan is wearing the same pair of pants in 3 of these photos, and did that suggest a stage shoot with a limited wardrobe, or did teenage Nathan just really like these pants? And when I tried to trace the source of these images, it led me back to a Tumblr blog that had been deleted in 2015.
Okay, so he didn't get them off his mom's Facebook, okay.
2 years after Nathan For You began. I couldn't know what that meant, but what I did know was I had found definitive proof. Nathan Fielder was not real. He was a fictional character portrayed by a comedy actor as genuine as the psychic Ronald Shube. So I guess there we go. Mystery solved, illusion shattered. You're welcome, everybody.
Yeah.
So why is there still so long left in this video? Well, everything we just talked about is a conclusion I came to, but that was before something happens. And that thing was, I rewatched the final episode of Nathan For You, an episode called Finding Francis. Even by Nathan For You standards, Finding Francis is unusual. Unlike a regular episode, it's not 22 minutes long, but an hour and a half. And unlike a regular episode, it's not about Nathan helping a small business or launching some publicity stunt, but finding a missing person. At various points during Nathan For You, Nathan works with professional Bill Gates impersonator Bill Heath.
When we started our computers back in the 80s, it was huge.
Bill had taken to showing up at Nathan's studio, hanging around and telling stories, and the one story he'd tell repeatedly was about his long-lost love, a woman named Frances. Nathan decides he wants to help Bill find Frances, and the two embark on a kind of road trip together. But as the journey goes on, and the more Nathan finds out about Bill, the more concerned he grows about who Bill actually is and what might happen if they really do find Frances.
I am disgusted with you of all this talk and gossip about you and Gloria.
In order to gauge how Bill will behave in a romantic situation, Nathan hires an escort, Macy, who has experience with older male clients. An encounter Bill unceremoniously turns down.
I hate to use that term, you gotta know what you're sticking it in.
Jesus, Bill.
Yeah, Jesus, Bill. And
Yeah.
so Nathan decides he will meet Macy himself to ask her about her experiences with older men. And what follows is one of the most baffling scenes in Nathan For You. Not because Nathan is awkward, but because he isn't. Nathan seems genuinely fascinated by Macy's insight into the escort industry, and she in turn seems curious about him. It's strange watching Nathan have chemistry with someone, but stranger still is what happens next.
Okay.
Nathan does something he's never done with a single other person over the entire course of the show. He shows Macy Nathan For You. And Macy calls him out on it. She says he's mean for misleading people, and when she does, you can see Nathan struggle to maintain the illusion.
You lied to every last one of them.
I mean, it's
You're like
business.
me and funny.
As Nathan runs into dead end after dead end in the search for Frances, he finds himself alone most evenings, and in those moments, his thoughts go back to Macy, and so he sets up another date with her. But this time,
Are we sure this isn't the, like, did this final episode of the show, did it turn into like an hour and a half long, like, TV movie? What's going on here?
watch what happens when Macy tells Nathan she thinks his show is funny.
Oh yeah.
That one was really funny.
Thank you, Macy. That's really nice of you to say.
He is delighted. He accepts the compliment. And what's so crazy about this is that at no other point during Nathan For You, or even in any of the interviews I found, does Nathan acknowledge the joke, acknowledge the illusion, except now, except with Macy. And in doing so, the artifice comes crumbling down. So, who are we now actually watching? If everything up till now had been a fictional character, is this now the real Nathan Fielder, or was there always an element of reality here? And the kind of unsettling part is that those are all questions Nathan himself seems to be losing the answers to.
When you prioritize your career for too long, you just become desperate for any human connection. And the more we kept shooting things, the harder it was to tell where the show ended and life began.
Watching this episode made me feel back at square one. I genuinely didn't know if I was now seeing the real Nathan Fielder or just being taken in by a deeper layer of the illusion. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought about the parts of Nathan For You that aren't funny, the more I thought about the strange personal narrative that forms over the course of the show. Nathan Fielder is this person who wants to believe he understands business, wants to believe he understands people, but during the filming of his show, he realizes that he isn't that he has no idea how to connect to people, that people find him weird and strange and off-putting.
I have no faith in your competence in this business. I have no faith in your judgment whatsoever.
No, but you're so weird.
No, Jonathan, I'm not weird.
You are crazy.
No, I'm normal.
You're very manipulative and conniving, and I don't like it.
For all I know, you're crazy.
You know what you are? You remind me of the Wizard of Loneliness, because you're your own self, your own wizard.
Okay.
Look at you in a pink shirt and everything else. Oh, you're killing me.
But Nathan also discovers a way that he can artificially overcome this. And you can see this particularly in that episode of The Hunk, when Nathan realizes that he can create scenarios to surround himself with people and affection. And this is a constant throughout the show after this point. In 2 other episodes, Nathan needs to hire an actor for a scheme, and in both those sections, he very quickly develops feelings for those actors.
And I told you I was in character, but I feel like there might have been some of me in there. And say, I love you.
Okay. I love you.
Again.
I love you.
Again.
I love you.
Again.
You have tears in your eyes.
Oh, really?
Even with Macy, for as genuine as their chemistry seems, Nathan is paying Macy for her company. Even the realest moments of Nathan for you are artificial. But the strangest instances of this artificiality are the times when Nathan literally becomes another person. Once by basically focus testing his entire personality, leading to him having what I can only describe as serious Mark Zuckerberg trying to be human energy.
So tell me about your foot massage parlor.
And in another where he...
Oh God. I swear, Mark Zuckerberg is not human. And unlike Nathan, Mark isn't even trying. Why doesn't he need to try? He has money.
He has to attend a stranger's wedding while wearing another man's clothes, and yet another in that infamous episode where he steals a man's skin. But in those latter two, what's so
there are so many better ways of putting that.
More comfortable as another person than he is himself.
There was something about being in another person's skin that made all my social anxiety vanish. I was able to charm complete strangers. It was a side of me I'd never seen before.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, of course.
And as it came to an end, I actually felt a bit sad, knowing that I'd soon have to go back to being me.
He has fun. He connects to people. And there is no joke here. There is no punchline. It's just there. Just these moments where Nathan seems more comfortable inhabiting a reality that isn't real. And so, while Nathan For You is a comedy show, there is also running through it this strange story of a person coming to understand the space between himself and other people, and constructing these artificial scenarios and identities to overcome it.
Okay. So we're having all of this really heartfelt talking about how Nathan is coming to understand himself through the show. But this is his first show. We still haven't gotten to the second show involving that had children being replaced by like robots and mannequins, and just when is the other shoe going to drop? When are we going to see the other show?
But as he does, he slowly starts to lose track of himself. He stops being able to tell what's simulated and what isn't, and that is where we leave him in the final episode of Finding Francis, and find him 3 years later in the first episode of The Rehearsal. With this new context, I rewatched The Rehearsal, but now even little details that seemed like nothing before felt like these major revelations. In Nathan For You, Nathan actively avoids bringing up his marriage because it breaks the Nathan For You character. But in The Rehearsal's first episode, he actually talks about his real life divorce.
Oh, he divorced.
I was married for 3 years.
If the person we were watching before was a fictional character, and we could tell that because of the differences between that character and the actual person...
Wait. Is he actually divorced? Oh, okay. Okay, okay. Where is this going?
What does it mean when those differences disappear? When The Rehearsal began, Nathan Fielder really was a man in his late 30s, really was divorced, and according to the narrative of the show, really was scared of ending up alone, an anxiety you can see form in the Finding Francis episode, where Nathan starts to view Bill as this ominous figure of his future, this man, old and alone and at the end of his life. And it scares Nathan, that fear seeming to be what drives him further down the path of artificiality, first in the form of Macy, but then later with a broader realization. With enough resources, he can create scenarios where intimacy is inevitable and the potential pain of that intimacy can be eliminated. And that is what leads to the concept of rehearsals. artificial scenarios with fabricated sets and professional actors, strange pocket realities where real people engage in these bizarre simulations of major moments of their lives before they happen that can be repeated over and over and over, with Nathan guiding the process, creating for people these elaborate flowcharts that are meant to guide them to the optimum level of human connection.
That's why it's called rehearsals? Oh, okay. Suddenly, the second show just got about 1,000 times more creepy. Oh no. Oh no.
But as the rehearsal goes on, we see the same troubling behaviors start to emerge in Nathan. We watch as he manipulates people, telling them their rehearsal has ended, only for it to follow them out into real life. Nathan again trapping people in these false realities. And we again watch Nathan insert himself into those uncanny realities as he crawls again into the skin of real people, working their jobs, living in their homes, taking over their lives. And finally, we see him create a fabricated version of the life he wishes he had, surrounding himself with a fake family and artificial home in rural Oregon. This was originally meant to be the rehearsal of Angela, a very strange woman who is real, trust me, I have seen her TikToks, who wants to know what it would be like to raise a child from 0 to 18 years old, leading to an elaborate rehearsal with multiple child actors, artificial seasons, and mirrors that simulate the passing of time.
Oh, that's okay. So oh, wow. Okay, that's certainly something. Wow. So I guess that puts the entire opening into new context. Okay.
After Angela has trouble finding a partner to become her fake husband in the rehearsal, Nathan volunteers himself. But as he does, he grows more obsessive in creating the perfect simulation, even fast forwarding and rewinding time, trying to fix the mistakes he's made and achieve an optimum life. But slowly, it's the parts of the rehearsal that Nathan can't control that start to break. Angela grows exhausted, both with the bizarre scenario and Nathan, and decides to leave, leaving Nathan alone with their artificial son, Adam, who in reality is a child actor, Remy. And it's here things go very, very wrong. See, Nathan and Remy have a genuine connection. They seem to share the same goofy sense of humor and have fun together. However, Remy grew up in a single-parent household, and never having known his father, begins to see Nathan as his real-life dad outside the rehearsal. And when Nathan tries to explain to him that that isn't the case, that this is all pretend,
oh no,
Remy is devastated. He can't accept it, and it's genuinely awful. Like, it's really morally questionable. Over and over, we've watched Nathan pull people into his illusions, but now an actual, real, innocent child has become trapped in one. And though Remy does seem to be okay by the end of the episode, it's a frightening display of negligence from Nathan and an unquestionably shitty outcome for a scenario he created. But maybe the most unsettling part is that while this should be for Nathan a moment of clarity in how broken what he's doing is, instead it has the opposite effect on Nathan. Now consumed by guilt over how he's hurt Remy, he starts to create rehearsals of his rehearsal, replaying the scenario over and over, trying to figure out what went wrong, how he could have fixed it, but
and that's where the dummies come in.
He always ends up back here, with each attempt sinking further and further into his
and that's
own
a soundstage
realities. is, before finally, in a moment of genuine horror that I am not going to spoil, Nathan is completely unable to distinguish his own identity from the fictional personas he has created.
Again, this whole thing, if this is, and I'm hoping it is, a staged show, you know, like a normal TV show, then this is some of the most well done sort of like psychological horror almost that that I can think of. Like this man getting trapped in his own delusions, trying to get things fixed. But on the flip side, if this is actually real, like with the whole thing, man, is that creepy. And again, still waiting for that third option that Supereyepatchwolf put out before. I still want to figure out what that is.
The credits rolled on that final episode. I sat there, baffled. Was this now real, or was this too just all an extended part of the illusion? And I genuinely didn't know. It was like the closer I looked, the more blurred the line between what was real and what isn't became. And why did I care? Why was I now spending weeks of my life trying to figure out if this person, who I will never meet, was real? And what does that even say about me?
Nothing much, because this entire thing on your end is a sunk cost fallacy. You put so much time into working it out, so you think you have to finish it, so that the time was not wasted. That is literally what a sunk cost fallacy is.
As those questions turned over and over inside me, I was struck with that same eerie feeling of Nathan staring deep into camera, making you question what you are watching and why.
Yeah.
I was losing perspective. This video was crawling inside my brain and making me crazy in a way that far too many videos have done in the past year. So I decided I needed a different approach. I needed to come at this from another angle. Years ago, I remember seeing this old stand-up act where a comedian unsuccessfully tries to host a variety act in front of a live crowd, and it absolutely bombs. With each passing minute, the audience grows more bored and vocal, and as they do, the comedian becomes increasingly frustrated. He begins shouting at the crowd.
Have I seen him before? I can't. The way he dresses, that face, I've seen it from somewhere. I just can't remember where.
Asking what he's meant to do, what they want from him. And as tears begin to roll down his face, the audience's confused giggles turn to hushed murmurs. And there's just this moment of like, oh God, is this real? Am I actually watching a person break? Before the man's wailing sobs transform into a ridiculous musical number. This man was Andy Kaufman.
That's where Andy Kaufman, that's where I recognize from, because Jim Carrey, didn't he play Andy Hoffman in like a movie a few years ago? Yeah, that's where I'm remembering it from.
Kaufman was blurring the line between reality and fiction years before Nathan Fielder even existed. He first rose to fame as the character Latka on the popular sitcom Taxi, before hellfire nuking his public image in a series of deranged stunts. He would dive bomb any talk show segment he was a part of. His act would consist of him ordering ice cream from actual waiters of the venue and then eating that ice cream silently over the course of several minutes. At one point, he even declared himself the gender-neutral champion of the world and would challenge real women from his audiences to live wrestling matches, claiming to be undefeated after 400 exhibitions. And people despised him for it. People hated Andy, including actual professional wrestler Jerry the King Lawler, who shared this very real-seeming exchange with Kaufman on Letterman. It was only a decade later when it was revealed that this was all a work, that Lawler and Kaufman were actually friends, and this isn't even the strangest example of Kaufman blurring reality and fiction. Tony Clifton was an obnoxious, offensive lounge singer who would occasionally open for Andy, as well as co-starring on Taxi. And this man was a train wreck wrapped inside a nightmare. He would viciously insult people in the audience to the point that they would grow visibly upset. He'd perform horrible, off-tune musical numbers, ignoring the boos of the crowd, and would grow irate if anyone ever asked him about Andy. At one point, he even showed up to the set of Taxi drunk and with 2 sex workers, resulting in him being fired from the show. But the thing is, Andy Kaufman was Tony Clifton. Clifton was a persona Kaufman had created, the fact that they were the same person being a widely known Hollywood secret.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. Well, granted, I don't know that much about Andy to begin with, but also it's like it might be also just the low resolution of the video covering it up, but that was very good, very good makeup.
But where this all grows truly maddeningly bizarre was with the untimely death of Kaufman due to lung cancer in 1984, when years later at Kaufman's memorial, Tony Clifton would emerge, fueling mass conspiracies that Kaufman was not dead, that even his death was just another part of this elaborate illusion. Andy Kaufman has been dead, or has he? No, for nearly 40 years. But to this day, we are still fascinated by that quivering line between person and persona, both in how we still obsess over Kaufman, but also just modern day social media, where every day we create our own persona as well as hyperfixate on others, trying to pick apart what is real and what isn't. And there's something so bizarrely compelling about that concept. And if you want to see what I'm talking about here, look no further than one of the most modern and infamous examples of it,
Nikocado.
YouTuber Nikocado Avocado.
Oh
Nicholas
God.
Perry originally came to prominence online through his vegan content, as well as his extremely skillful violin play. But as time went on, Nick's style of video transitioned into mukbang content.
Again, I swear, out of all of the content that's put out by anybody online, granted, I guess up until recently, mukbangs were like the one thing that I could not understand. I mean, of course, like I get reactions and there are people that don't, but in my eyes, the whole thing is you watch something that you like, and there's that thing where you see something you like, you want to share it with people and see them like it, and then that kind of reaction content kind of comes out from that. And there's like a whole host of everything. I mean, like, and even like it just eating the food, like in the form of a review, you know, to see how good it is. But mukbangs, videos where the only thing is watching people eat is, again, up until recently, one of the weirdest things ever online, and was only recently surpassed by that like trend on TikTok of people pretending to be NPCs or something, and people are donating to them for that. I don't know what's going on right now. Both of these just genuinely confuse me, and I don't know how Nikocado stays relevant. Like, the only time I ever see him is when like a clip of one of his videos pops up in a meme or something. There are a lot of creators on this platform that I mean, I wish they weren't here, but I can see why they're there and why they're popular. Nikocado is one of those people where I wish he was off, or at least he got help. But the only thing I can see of why he's still popular or somewhat relevant is because people like seeing him freak out.
i.e. someone who eats large quantities of food on camera, with Nick's new eating habits resulting in him putting on a substantial amount of weight. And as his body transformed, a strange persona started to emerge. He would move and gyrate in these bizarre ways. His manner of speaking became dramatic and cartoonish. He'd go off on these insane, unhinged rants, all in a way that seemed designed to draw as much ire, ridicule, and attention as possible. There's been a lot of conversations about how right or wrong what Perry is doing is, and I have little interest in repeating any of it. But the reason it's relevant for this video is how the wall between the real-life Nicholas Perry and the Nikocado Avocado character seems to be deteriorating. The real-life Nicholas Perry does actually seem to be suffering from real-life health problems from the weight gain, and while it'd be pretty shitty of me to project my own values onto Perry, it's hard to imagine he doesn't feel strongly about that and everything that's happened to him. A lot of people worry about his mental health, gaps in his content being met with widespread concern over his safety, but it's impossible to know how much of that is real or how much of it's just part of the act. But there's times when it feels like both. Less so in his YouTube videos, but more so on his TikTok, where in one video, Nick, surrounded by this massive quantity of food, just sits there, playing this deeply melancholic tune on his violin, this instrument that used to mean so much to him, used to be the center of his world, that he still plays so beautifully. For as silly as Nikocado Avocado's videos can be, I find something genuinely beautiful and haunting about this video. There's this real sense of longing for the way things were, but being trapped in what they are. Like you're watching both the person and the persona clawing to get to the surface, but endlessly entangled in each other. And how real that is, we just don't have the information to make that call, because all we can see is what Nick shows us.
I am always 2 steps ahead. All these unwell, unbalanced, disoriented beings roam the internet in search of stories. I'm monitoring ants on an ant farm. And people will consume these stories year after year after year. Stories that shock, that confuse, stories that are deliberately made to blur the boundaries between fact and fiction. You are the end.
It's easy to view Nikocado Avocado as an extreme example of this. But while he is extreme, what he isn't is uncommon. There's a version of this happening with every creator you follow. Every creator puts a lot of work into controlling your perception of them. I mean, think about something as minor as a jump cut. Why was that there? It's there because they're trying to hide something, to remove some little imperfection, some small inflection or stumble of speech that goes against the image of themselves they are trying to establish in your mind.
Yeah, guilty, though I will have to be completely honest. Most of my cuts are like when I'm having a brain fart and there's just a really long silence of me trying to get the gears going in my head again to try to figure out what I was actually going to say. Like, I swear, specifically with reactions, I a good 75% of the time, at most of the cuts I do are just cutting out the sections of dead air after I've done talking and before the video starts up again. Maybe I can make a video about that one day. That's an idea.
To create a persona, and that's true of every single creator, including me. Sometimes I get messages from people saying they like my videos because I seem genuine. And I have to ask, what about this seems genuine to you?
Well, I mean, like, everybody has their, you know, personal white void they like to sit in. I mean, don't you?
This line I'm saying right now, I've read this line like 5 or 6 times, and I'm going to pick the one that makes me sound the most natural, the most confident, the most relatable. This line I'm saying right now, I've read this line like 5 or 6 times. I'm going to pick the one that makes me sound the most relatable, the most relatable.
Now, your homework is to figure out which of those was the actual one he chose.
How genuine is that? How genuine is any of this? I'm not standing in front of an infinite white void right now. This is a green screen. There's no music playing for me. That's something I consciously inserted after I shot this to try and control what you feel while watching it. I'm not even talking to you right now. I'm just reading words off a screen. Like, okay, like, watch what happens when I do this. Okay, look at this teleprompter.
I swear, he has a teleprompter?
Look at these lights. Does this look like something a normal, genuine person would have in their living room? No, this is all here because I want to appear a certain way in these videos. And I can tell you that this is all real, that I'm being genuine, but how do you know any of that? How do you know that any of this is real?
Yeah.
That story earlier about me being a kid and the rounders and the robot, that didn't happen. None of that was real. And this photo, this isn't me. I have no idea who this is. This is just a stock photo I found on some website.
Oh, okay.
And if it sounds like, oh, well, okay, now this is all real, this is the actual person. No, I'm still just reading off a teleprompter. When you watch my videos, you only experience the version of me that I let you, and how real that is, you can't know. Because what you're experiencing right now, it's not a person. It's a thing a person made. Oh boy, wow, this one's getting weird. Ultimately, what I'm getting at here is that the question this video asked was kind of doomed from the beginning.
Can I just say this little spiel that has been going on, it's making me feel rather self-conscious right now.
In truth, you can never really know another person, whether that's a YouTuber you follow, or the person sitting next to you, or a strange man in a TV show. Every person is their own internal universe, and that's a universe we will only ever get the most fleeting glimpses of. There's always going to be an infinite void between you and other people, and a lot of what life is attempting to navigate that void, traveling through it in hopes of finding something real. And I think in a way, that's what we've been watching someone do this entire video. For as silly as Nathan For You or The Rehearsal can be, they are this story of a person trying to find real human connection. There's something relatable about that, right? And sometimes it succeeds. Sometimes you might lead a bunch of people up a mountain in an elaborate riddle hunt for a tax rebate, and find that the journey leads to moments of real sincerity and honesty.
I forgot about the tax rebate for the gas, right?
Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you surround yourself with what you think your life is supposed to look like, only to come face to face with the most frightening parts of yourself.
Do you want to feel something? Do you want to feel something real?
Yeah.
That's sad. You never will, no matter how hard you try. You never will.
You can never really understand another person. Human connection is not something you can force or engineer. It's messy and painful and complicated. It goes wrong and people get hurt. And that can be really hard. But that's kind of what I love about the work of Nathan Fielder. How much of it is an act or isn't, this is still the story of a person trying to traverse that void and touch something real. And he fails constantly in these hilarious and horrifying ways, but he's trying. And I think that's what we all do. What is Nathan Fielder? We all are. And
are you saying Nathan Fielder is a hive mind?
I think that's kind of corny, but I think that's how I'm gonna end this video.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay then. Well, that was a heavy one for sure. I mean, I just have to say, Supereyepatchwolf is such a good creator. I absolutely love his stuff, simply for the fact that, like, even after how much you have to think about it and how long it takes for the stuff, for everything to like sift through, like, your mind, for you to really finally get what he's talking about. And just as a side note, you gotta love that this entire video, just off to the side, there's another video called "Is Nathan Fielder Acting?" and it's only 21 minutes long. So what is Nathan Fielder? He is everybody. He is the human race. He is a hive mind. We are all Nathan Fielder. I'm gonna have to call that here for now. I'm gonna need to sit down for a while and just kind of think this one through. Original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will link to the Let's Play of the day. I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.